Hey guys, today we're going to be talking about being the light of the world, which is found in Matthew chapter 5 verses 14 through 16. To kind of reset the stage here, let's just remember that Jesus is teaching his disciples and a crowd of people, a crowd of followers. This is part of Jesus' Sermon on the Mount, and he is up on a mountainside teaching. His disciples are right in front of him, the crowds are with him, and he is teaching them. So let's go ahead and read. It says, "You are the light of the world. A city set on a hill cannot be hidden. Nor do people light a lamp and put it under a basket, but on a stand, and it gives light to all in the house. In the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven." Okay, so let's first talk about the disciples. Jesus is sitting there with the disciples, and he is giving them a charge to shine his light. He is telling the disciples that their lives are going to be useful to his mission, to Jesus's mission. In John chapter 8, verse 12, Jesus actually calls himself the light of the world. And so now what he's telling the disciples is, just as I am the light of this world, so are you. Meaning that the disciples, because they are following Jesus, because they have trusted and believed in him, because they are gaining wisdom from him, they are now charged to go out in the rest of the world and shine Jesus's light for all to see. And he uses the analogy here about being in a house, and he says when you put a light on, back then it was candles, so or lamps. When you light a lamp or when you light a candle, you don't put a basket on top of it, because that will extinguish the light, and it will also cause darkness in there. But what you do is you set it on a stand so that you're able to see in the rest of the house. And so what kind of is cool, if you think about being Jesus telling the disciples that they are now the light of the whole world, that now their everyday life, the way their actions, the things that they do, the way that they love other people, those are actually bringing light to a dark world. And Jesus is charging them with that. That this is the challenge that he's given them to point back to Jesus, so that they are able to show what being a light for him really means. For me, I think about this as just being like a very high honor, a high honor to be set as a light for Jesus. That for my life, I need to shine in all that I do, and sometimes I don't do that. It's very difficult. Because it's much easier to like we kind of said before, like Jesus said before, is to hide under a basket. But he calls us to be a city on the hill. As the city on the hill cannot be hidden when the lights are on, and there's no mistaking where that city on the hill is. And that's how we should be living our lives. That there's no mistaking who we follow and who we serve, because our lives should really reflect that. They should really reflect who we serve and who we love. But often I think, if we are being honest with ourselves, we cover up who Jesus is. Whether we do that by taking praise and glory for ourselves as opposed to him, by not standing up for what we believe in, whether or not it be in the schools or with coworkers or other things like that. Being a light for Jesus means boldly proclaiming his name, not only with our words but also with our actions, and how we love each other, how we treat other people. And so really, when you think about the world kind of in darkness, and I think about the world being in darkness, and how comforting it would be if we would all actually shine Jesus's light for all to see, that we could cut through the darkness of the world, and that as a big body of just people being light for Jesus, what that would really look like. So here's some questions for you guys. The questions are: do you boldly shine Christ by showing his love, for acting on his behalf, for cutting through the darkness of this world with his light? Jesus gives us all kinds of opportunities and tools. He tells us really difficult things, like how to love our enemies, and if someone hits you on the cheek, you turn him the other cheek. And so he gives us really difficult things, but to follow, and he gives us really big challenges because that's so opposite from the way the world works. But if we truly started living like his light, you know, it would just be a much more beautiful place. Second question is, do you hide your belief and your trust in him? Do you hide those things under a basket? If somebody were to ask you, you know, who do you follow? Who, you know, what are your religious beliefs, or you know, where do you put your faith? And are you able to boldly proclaim the name of Christ, that you believe in him, that you trust in him, that you love him, and that you live to honor his life? Or, you know, if you're not doing all those things, are you keeping your relationship with him to yourself? You know, it's very, you know, lots of people say, well, you know what, it's just me and Jesus and that's all I need. But we're called to be his light, to share his love, to share his light with other people. So are you guys doing that? The last question is, are you giving God the glory for the good things that you do? You know, we are, like I said before, Jesus gives us lots of opportunities to do good things, to love other people, to share his love with other people, to tangibly show them what that means. And, you know, whether that means, hey, volunteering at a soup kitchen, or, you know, going down to the inner city somewhere and you know, like handing out lunches to homeless people, or, you know, there's plenty of good things that we can do. But are your good works, are you shining that light back on Jesus? Are you, because in that last verse it says, in the same way, let your light shine before others, so that they may see your good works and give glory to your Father who is in heaven. So are we taking that glory for ourselves? Are we boasting in ourselves instead of boasting in God and what he has given us to do? Really, in order to be light for a dark world, we need to understand how useful we are to Jesus. He wouldn't have told us that we are the light of the world if he wanted us to stay hidden, if he wanted us to stay, you know, hidden under a basket, or, you know, in our room by ourselves and never sharing his name. He would never have given us the charge to be the light of the world if he didn't want us to use that charge, if he didn't want to challenge us. So, he gave us this challenge so that his name could be spread, not our own. You know, lifting the glory and the praise back up to our Father, back up to Jesus. That's the goal. The goal of being the light is to lift that glory back up to him. And just kind of think about this. He's offering us the holy job of working with him on his mission. Because really his mission is a holy mission. His mission is to call all people back to him, to live eternally with him. And so he is opening the door for us to have that holy job with him. And how crazy and how awesome that is, that he actually invites us to be on mission with him. So the question, just to kind of think about, like, are you hiding under a basket? Is that how you're living your life? Or are you truly shining for all to see Jesus in your actions, in your words, in just the way that you're living your life? Go ahead and kind of read over those, you know, maybe read it on your own. Go and definitely reference the John verse so that you guys can kind of see that charge that Jesus gives to be the light of the world. Make sure you're kind of like sharing on our discussion board. Start a conversation, you know. Go ahead and let's just share with each other, you know, what we think about all this stuff. You know, being the light of the world, what does that mean? And what does that mean to you guys? All right, have a great week, and we'll see you next week.